Matt Calvani in the flesh. We don't get Matt out of the shaping bay very often. He works a lot, and they make some of the best surfboards. We've got some. We haven't had any at the shop for a little while, so Matt and Gray brought us a couple of boards in the rack. What models do we got?
Well, I'm stoked to be back in the shop for one.
Us
Thank
too.
you very much. So yeah, we got some the new models that haven't been in here ever. So the Australian Square, which is like obviously Australian influenced. I was in Solidita, and the board was just sitting at the house we were staying at, like a Thomas.
Ooh.
Can't remember the name of the model off the top of my head. And my friend was there, and it was all dirty and nasty. And he's like, "I want to clean it up and surf it." And I'm like, "All right, I'll try it." And I tried it, and I was like, "Wow, that's a lot different than what we do in California. Just kind of a different take. You know, nothing like completely foreign, but just different take on a single fin." So, you know, the outline is a little fuller, more California. The one I rode was like quite a bit more pulled in the nose and even in the tail. But just the extra rocker.
Yeah, where do you think the rocker starts on that thing?
You know, it kind of flips on the end, sorta, and then this in the tail, it's just a really long, continuous rocker that breaks from the center. And that was the thing that I really noticed that made a big difference. And it's like it's just always like felt like under your feet where the wide point was. It just felt super loose and drivey.
It was always ready to turn.
It was always turning no matter where, and it would carry its speed through the turn. So if you do a roundhouse or a big turn, it just always has resistance and it just stays under you, but it's always moving. Where some boards kind of like will turn and they'll die. The kicktails kind of do that, so they're kind of more nose riding oriented. But this one just really turned well. I love the way that the board turns, and it actually nose rides really well because that whole curve kind of wants to suck down when you get on the nose. With the extra nose rocker, it kind of creates like a leverage situation.
So your tail's high.
Yeah, tail's high, but it's not like flipped like on
Gotcha.
the end. So it's a different kind of nose ride, and
the rails feel really nicely foiled too.
Yeah.
Apex is a little lower than center. We'll get some good
Yes.
photos up on the website so you all can see them.
And the other thing is, I would say the only drawback to the design, because the waves in Australia are more powerful, so it's got more rocker. When it's like really high tide mushy, it kind of wants to fade out when you get on the nose. And that was the only thing that I felt was a drawback. So
anything you want? Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, it's like one of our best selling models, and a lot of the team riders are riding it now.
Yeah, when I saw that, it stood out as noticeably different.
Yes.
So exciting.
Definitely.
Can we talk about the pufferfish?
Sure, the pufferfish. So this kind of was a board that I remember seeing on another brand from way, way back, like 40 years ago. And in my mind, I had the outline in my mind, like, oh, it's this cool round nose. And then I've seen one since then, and it wasn't anything like it. So this was inspired from an idea that I had like 40 years ago.
Do you remember what that board was?
It was a Takayama.
Well, they still make that humu fish.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
That has the wide nose.
But then when I saw it, it was like narrower, and it wasn't quite as round as this one. But anyways, I really like wide, thin boards because they have a lot of surface area, so they're very glidey and squirty, but they're sensitive on the rail. Like the rail is
this one's very foiled.
It's real foiled. It's like a shortboard rail. Like it's pretty much as high performance you can get, but this super fast and just really fluid and very sensitive. So, and the other thing is too, because of the width in the tail, you know, you kind of got to do things a little different. So I made quite a bit of V double concave. So the board will go rail to rail, like real easy for the width, but it will like release off the top.
Oh.
And then the double runs up further.
You guys do such good patches. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a ghost patch that mirrors the main patch. That's strength and beauty.
Yeah, my guys just love to do that kind of stuff. So
you guys are known for it.
Yeah, so super fast, catches waves really well.
This one's 5'2".
Yeah.
Did you build this for yourself? Because is this kind of like, who's this for? What?
I would probably ride like a 5'4", 5'6".
Okay.
5.2 I could ride, but I feel I'm so lazy with the paddling. I want to get into waves real easy. So
So this is maybe for somebody that's like 150 pounds.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I
Maybe a
could
little
ride
more.
this, no problem, but I would miss some waves. But I think I'd be fine with it. But yeah, like 145, 150 would be, 55 would be probably max for a 5.2 on this.
That looks fun, but yeah, I think I'll be sinking that one. But that one's beautiful. Looks
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah,
Alpha
so
Mini.
this was based off of a model that we did called the Alpha Pin. The original one was 710, and it was really thick, and it's pretty flat, which I loved it, and it's been a model for I don't know 10 years now almost.
Single fin.
Yes, a single fin, and then we moved into a quad. But then I had this team rider, Christian Marcher. He wanted one shorter, and so I started thinking about it, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to thin it out and then put like more of a performance rail on it. So I added, instead of it being soft, like kind of a mid-rangey kind of skip fry rail, I made it down, and it's a tucked edge now, so I changed the rail, and so now it goes from like 610 and down. It's called the Alpha Mini, and then we switched it to a quad. So this board is super fun, really fast, really maneuverable for what it is. You wouldn't think it would look like it is, but it's kind of one of these boards where you let the wide point draw that, like, carry the speed, but then as you come up to the top, you can, because the tail's so narrow and fairly thin up there or back there, you can just push through it.
So it'll rotate once you get it up
Yeah,
high.
it releases really well, and you can push as hard as you want, which is kind of fun.
It's a beautiful outline. I mean, that's kind of a classic
Yeah,
70s, late 70s outline that
exactly.
always works.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
You want to talk about
I
that
want to talk about that.
All right, let's talk about this.
So last year or year before last?
It was 3 years ago.
Holy smokes. That went
right?
fast.
Right? 3 years ago, the Bing shape off.
That was 3 years ago. Yeah, this will be the year for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was 2023.
Yeah.
4, 5, 6, yeah, 3 years ago.
So Mr. Bing Copeland was honored at the Boardroom show.
That's
He just had a
right.
birthday.
Yes.
He was just out here.
He's 90 years old.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Mr. Copeland was honored at the Boardroom show down in Del Mar a couple years back, and several of the boards, well, all the boards that the shapers had to replicate were designs that he did at different periods. And this was based off the 67?
67, yeah. Probably like early 67. It's a board that I owned. I don't even know where I got it. Glass on fin, which is nice because the little later after that they did the wave set, which kind of made them weird. But this board, the original, was just a magic board. It was 9.6, just turns really well and nose rode really well for a step deck, no concave. And this one was a little unique because some of them, they got pretty wide in the nose and not so piggy. This one's very piggy kind of shape. And the step is really smooth and long, where some of them at the end kind of just got abrupt and kind of chiseled. But this one is like, just, it looks like, it rides like it looks, just super smooth and flows. Amazing off the tail. Like, it's definitely a board that you got to get right on the tail and turn it all the way back, because it's fairly flat in the tail. It's super drivey. But then you get up on the nose and it's pretty fast on the nose, but it locks in surprisingly well for no concave. And
would you flip it over?
Goes. It's almost like, I kind of equate it to like a glider and a nose rider combined.
A glide rider.
Yeah, glide rider. So it's got a lot of roll like throughout, which a lot of them towards this like 67 started getting they were kind of flat on the bottom. This one's got a lot of roll, which I like, and that's kind of locks in higher on the face. And like I said, you can just, for some reason, it's just, you get on the nose and it just locks in and stays that like line, but then you can get these super long nose rides on it. So super fun board. if you like speed, this is the board.
Who doesn't like speed?
Yeah, trim speed and nose riding speed, which is unusual. I've never had a board quite lock in this well on the nose. So
Why was 1967 such a sought after year for
well,
longboard design?
because like everything was nose riding before that, like Dave Nueva nose rider, other guys, and then I think it was like '66 when Nat Young won the world title on the Magic Sam. Everybody's kind of familiar with that, I think, and that kind of changed the emphasis to the tail. But then board designs like the lightweight was a result of that kind of mentality of like, oh, we want to turn now, but we don't want to, like, nose riding was still sort of popular, so they didn't want to lose the nose riding. So there was like this 1 year where they blended the two together, and it was just the magic year before like the whole bottom of the surfboard world just fell out from underneath it and everything went short. So by 68, like boards were already dropping into the 8-foot range. So
it was just the peak of like the designs were just getting better and better and better, and then shortboards happened and no one cared about longboards.
Yeah. So it really it like the idea was to like turn, so like they started getting into more rocker and more foiled out rails.
Yeah, the rails, the apex is really thin.
Yes, it's
the
like
taper looks like it starts kind of farther in.
it's pretty pinched, but still round enough to where it's forgiving. It doesn't feel like it's gonna, it's not hard to ride. Some of those rails that were really pinched by 67, 68 were like super pinched and way too knifey to,
Wow. So this model is a very sought after model.
Yeah.
If you find a Nueva lightweight,
Mm-hmm.
actually there was one, oh, the kids took it. They found one at the auction.
Oh yeah.
They bought it and they've been surfing it. It's beautiful. So if you want to experience a 1967 David Nueva lightweight, this is a recreation of that exact design.
His exact design, yeah. In fact, like from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, all that, the lightweight was probably the most sought after model to ride in those vintage contests. Like,
they won heats.
Hands down.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, people liked the Nueva nose riders and stuff, but this was the one that they got the blend of the nose riding and the turning. So, that's some of the best surfing you'll ever see.
Matt, I want to ask you, like, what's your history going back? Because I know you worked, obviously, you've known Bing Copeland and worked under him for decades now. But you also worked for Hap Jacobs.
Yeah.
And how did you get your board building start?
Well, I just started building boards in my garage in like the mid 80s. So I was airbrushing boards, and like I started shaping probably around, I think 87 was the first one I made.
What were you building?
Short boards back then, mostly tri-fins, glass-ons. It was kind of that era, but sort of like right towards the end of the 80s when the longboarding thing started coming back, mostly 2+1s, but being in the South Bay around all these like sort of legends and brands that were around, like Hap Jacobs got back into the business in 91 and Lance Carson was at the same time. They kind of, so I started building Lance Carson models, his boards for like, I don't know, 8 years or something. And then I was building Jacobs. And then about like a little later than that, I picked up Rick. Before I picked up, say, like 96, I was making Rick improvisers, Rick nose rider, not so much the nose rider, but different models. And then went into working for Becker, and Becker shaped all the Ricks from the 60s. So all those really good Ricks were great riders, and he made those all. So I'd watch him shape them, and I didn't know what they were, and I was like, damn, these things are so foiled and so well shaped and balanced.
Over here.
Yeah, and so like I just started catching on. It was probably more towards like the mid 90s when I really got into the understanding about nose riders and stuff, and like in the classic 60s, especially 67, we all honed in on that 1 year as the best year.
So did you start doing like working production, or were you still doing painting at Becker?
No, by 92 I quit painting and I was shaping full time. So I got my full-time job at Becker in 92. And so I was there for almost a decade, but I was still doing Jacobs and Lance Carsons and Ricks and stuff. So I kind of fostered those brands and relationships with dealers and stuff. And then I got Bing in 2001. So I quit working at Becker and just in 2004, I think it was. So I basically put everything into the Bing and Jacobs brand in the beginning, and then moved down to San Diego in 2010.
Wow.
So
That's a pretty impeccable resume.
it was kind of being in the right place at the right time. Yo, what's
Hi,
going
Chris.
on?
Hey guys,
What's
big
going
board
on?
meeting.
Yeah.
Surfboards coming in all day long. I
yeah.
love this. Of the guys that you were working with and alongside and learning some of their designs, like who was hardest on you as far as
Oh.
either
Yeah, I
teaching
didn't-
or
Yeah,
working?
I mean, I'd say Lance was pretty. He was pretty on it. You know, he was a perfectionist and like, and I think Hap had a lot of influence in that area too. And Jeff Stoner, like, which is Rick's son,
Mhm.
Rick, he was like an amazing craftsman. You know, builds houses for a living. You know, to this day, and was super meticulous like his dad was. His dad would take all day to shape one board, like
Wow.
just really perfectionist. So, I mean, all of them, even Becker, like as much as of a machine he was doing 11 boards a day, he had like a level of functionality in his boards that like, you know, he showed me how to make a board work but also do it in a timely fashion. So between blending all that influence, it kind of made me who I am as a shaper. And, you know,
Well, it shows.
thank you.
Kids, if you want to get good at something, make yourself useful for masters and just be quiet and listen. Let them teach you. And it shows through in Matt's work the numbers of skilled hands that he's got to work alongside shows through. Actually, I was going to ask you, Matt, this one came in. I was wondering if you might have made this.
Yeah.
It's an old Jacobs Mike Purpose model, which
did.
I'd never seen.
Yeah.
One of his longboard models.
So the story with this board is that this is the board that Joel influenced for the Model T.
Really?
Yeah. So this is like this particular board was a vintage, based off a vintage, again, 67 Mike Purpose model.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I'd never seen one of these before.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of guessing because it's not vintage, but the design is. I
Yeah.
was thinking that you were up there at that time, so that might have been one of yours.
Yeah, I made this for quite a few years, and it did pretty well. It was unique because it has like nose rocker, but very little tail rocker, similar to the lightweight, but it has a concave.
Yeah.
It worked pretty good, you know. I mean, it wasn't like my favorite board, but there was people that really liked it, and it was, like I said, it was based off of a vintage, you know, pretty much the copy of a vintage original one.
I wondered that black dot. I think Tyler Hatzikian has a model that he does with that same resin dot on it.
Yeah,
I wonder if he's referencing
yeah,
this.
yeah, because Hap did it, you know, in probably like '66. He started doing these, and he did it on the 422 and
There we go.
the Mike Purpose. This was like this board only lasted for a short time because I think it came out in 1967, and then it got pretty much by '68, like
Short
probably
boards.
a year later, it was a V bottom, Mike
Right.
Purpose V bottom, and they actually made that
No
all the way
kidding.
up in probably like till 1970, I think. So
that was just a tribute to bring that one back.
yeah, but the dot, yeah, that was definitely a Jacobs, you know, thing that he did, which is super cool. And we did them like with a 1-inch band, another color around it. It was really fun to do those. Yeah. This is a board that, you know, you got to ride it to appreciate it. You know, it's like, it's an amazing, super fun board.
Well, for those of us who lust after the original Nueva lightweight, you can get The same design.
Yeah, it's a really accurate copy to the original. Like, because the boards for the boardroom, I think I was saying earlier, I shaped every single board. There was 3 boards. It was the 7-3 Bonzer, which was the final. This was the second board, and then it was like a swallowtail, like with the stringers that came out to the points on the swallow.
Ooh.
And each one, I just felt like I needed to shape each one to make sure I knew how to judge them properly.
Oh, so you built a couple of those before the show?
Yeah.
Off of the original ones?
Yeah. So that helped me like to build templates and rocker templates. So I had this, pretty extensive like measuring system to judge the boards.
You were ultra meticulous. I was watching you judge the boards, and you had a check mark or a sheet where you were going through and measuring almost inch by inch. It looked like.
I think we had like I don't know. I think it was 75 points of measurement, something like that. And it was accurate because the boards that were the closest looked like the boards. It was like it was definitely.
Remind me who won that head to head for this model?
Yeah, it was Michael Arnell and Wayne Rich in the final.
This board is the final?
Oh no, this was the second board. So this was the 4 guys. So I want to say that Michael Arnell went against. It's really hard for me to remember.
I can't remember now.
I know. There. Yeah, the one that Mike. Okay, like just to give you an idea how good of a shaper he is. Every round, he was the closest on every board.
Accuracy.
Yes.
Wow.
They were the closest. Yeah.
Did he win it overall that year?
He won it overall.
Up against guys like Wayne.
Yes.
That's pretty impressive.
And the lightweight that he shaped was like the closest board of any of the boards to the measurement system I did. And he got like almost 80% of the board.
Wow.
Into my measurements. And like you look at it and it looks just like this board. It was pretty amazing.
Well, thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
If y'all want to come see the new Eva lightweight, there's one here. It won't be here for long. You were saying that Bing and Rick go back.
Yeah, so Bing and Rick were partners in 59. I think it was like just about a year. So, they went on that sailing trip to New Zealand and like Fiji and all those places. And then they came back. That's that story. I don't know, like you can look at it, or the movie that the Bing movie we did talks about that a bit. He brought surfing to New Zealand, kind of outside of Auckland, Piha. So they brought boards, Velzy, like balsa boards, and they'd never seen surfing in this one area. I'm sure there was other people surfing in New Zealand, but this area they weren't. And so he started building boards there. He built some epoxy boards because they couldn't get any of the materials.
That's what they had.
Yeah. So long story short, and then fast forward a bit, then they came back and they were in the Coast Guard, kind of even further the story. And then so they were out, and so Rick became like a lifeguard, but he wanted to make surfboards as well. So they kind of split up, and Bing wanted to start his own brand, and then that was the beginning of Bing Surfboards in 1960. But then, Rick kept making the boards and lifeguarding. And then, so I think 63 is when Phil Becker started doing all the shaping. So Rick did a little bit early on. Like the UFO was.
So you made a bunch of these over the years.
I made a bunch of them. Yeah. A lot for Japan.
Do those rails feel familiar?
Yeah, it's pretty similar. I mean, it's beautiful. Like the rocker looks really good. It's not super scooped out in the tail like the UFO was. But those look beautiful. Yeah, I just found out that Jeff Stoner started making them again, so I'm really, really stoked for that.
Yeah, not a lot.
Super good craftsman, like I was saying earlier, and so you guys want to check out some amazing looking, well-shaped boards that are adding to the craftsmanship of Southern California. Well, he's back at it, so it's pretty cool.
Well, you've definitely been honed with the right material around you. You've come up under some of the best craftspeople, so thanks for carrying it forward.
Yeah,
I think people really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. I love doing it.
So we've got a couple of Aussie square tails.
Yeah.
We didn't pull out that Cali pin.
Yeah, just quick on the Cali pin. It's just a really great all-around board for anywhere in California. That's why, hence the name Cali. There's a Cali pin and a Cali square. This is obviously the pin, and great really just good, solid rocker, like not too much in the nose, so it'll nose ride on pretty much any kind of wave, steep or mushy. It's got a little more kick than the Aussie Square, kind of kicked up, so it hangs, allows you to hang a little longer on the nose. Sort of a like flat in the middle, but with a little rolled up rails. So it's kind of 50-50, but a little more pinched than the Aussie. So you're going to get that like kind of loggy feel where it's like locks in a little bit more. But when you get on the tail, it's pretty fluid and loose because of the wide point back. So, and the pintail is a really good nose rider. So took about 10 years to get this board right. Made like multiple prototypes and never quite got it quite right. And then after making the Aussie Square, did some tweaks, knew what I needed to do, and then this one just kind of hit it and worked really good.
So is that one, if you were giving someone like a takeaway of like tasting notes on that board?
I would just say like I would say it would give you 50% like on the nose, on the tail, like as far as the design of it. It was based on a super all around, but a really solid nose rider, but turns really well. It's a good blend between the two, but more on the traditional side. Like we make our Continental model, and it would be like a performance, much more performance than that, which is kind of where I wanted it to sit between that and like the Aussie Square, which is much more performancer kind of oriented board where you get on the nose a little shorter amount of time, quicker nose rides, and a more off the tail, so the percentages are a little different. So this would be like just super all around, like you want an everyday board. It's like a workhorse. It'll kind of work any
nose rider, but still good response.
Yeah, just good turning because the wide point being back, it's still like opens up and turns really nice and carries its speed well in the turns. Just you can't go wrong. I mean,
clean outline.
It's a great outline, and when everybody is, when I talk to customers and they're not sure what they want, I kind of direct them towards that, and we've been demoing that, and it's successfully transitioned into sales.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, it's a good sign. So both have done really well.
I just love a reverse layup like this too.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of
with
those.
The clear.
Yeah.
Ooh, here's this. I don't build surfboards, but a lot of times when you see a pin line on the cut lap, that's just to hide any edges.
Imperfection.
But that cut lap is so clean, doesn't need a pin line.
No, not on the bottom.
Matt will do pin lines if you want them just for flex. This is resin pin line on top. He lays those down on your boards too. But that's just a flex.
Yeah.
Very cool.
You want to talk about?
Yeah, let's talk about the longfish.
Yeah. So the longfish is was a like personal, challenge for me, because like all the sort of boards like this that I've ever ridden, they're really stiff because of the long rail line.
Regardless of the fin set?
Huh?
Regardless of the fin configuration?
Sort of, yeah. I mean, I think I've rode one or two, and I just felt like they were just like kind of tracked, and they were fast. They were kind of like a glider, but I didn't want it to be like a glider. I wanted it to be like, just an all-around great board. I think the hardest part of designing this board was getting it to be loose in the tail. So it took me like quite a few versions to get it quite right. And a lot of that had to do with the way I did the V and the way I did the release off the tail to kind of compensate for the straighter rail. And then as a quad, it was more of a challenge to keep it loose because quads have a tendency to be kind of stiffer. So as a twin, this board is like plenty loose, which I have a new version of this with a wing that I call the flying fish. So this is the long fish. But having it the quad, it's just like the super utility all around everyday, like big wave, smaller wave. It still works really well in all those conditions. And the idea was to kind of make a high performance version of a long fish. So it's got like double concave V, like the that I feel like is a great combination for wider tails. Similar to what the pufferfish is, but then I run the.
So V does sit deeper than the rails, noticeably, huh?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that V is really nice to be able to loosen up that straight outline, and keep it fluid and just and it releases off the top. So the first versions were like worked super good off the bottom. They were great, but then they wouldn't release, and that was the key. I just wanted to have it be like feel like a board that had a much curvier tail. So it's got like a double, single that runs up into the middle that acts as like a single concave, and the rails are pretty shortboardy foiled, which I feel makes
60-40.
But
Apex is about there.
yeah, just like a honed out shortboard rail, super performance. And then as I was making it with a narrower nose, I added rocker. Originally it had a beak, but aesthetically I took it out. I wanted something a little more like sort of racy and foiled. So in some ways, a lot of it reminds me of like the boards we were making back in the 90s, kind of like foiled out, like with some rocker, because I feel like rocker is great as long as it's in the right places and the board's got enough width. It's not going to hurt it at all. So aesthetically, I love the way this board looks, and I even love the way it rides even more. So
how would you have someone size that to their own height and stance?
I would say, if you're a shortboarder, I mean, the idea is like this is a long fish. So we kind of start it from like 6'4" and up to like 8 foot. So I think, the sweet spot for this board is like 6'8", 7'0".
So 6 to 8 inches taller than you are?
Yeah. I mean, to where you get a lot of the elements, the performance elements of it, but you get the paddling, advantage of having a long fish.
So double is your mid-sized board, but faster.
Yeah. So you still get that drive. That's just an amazing amount of drive in the turns and the outline. But
yeah, it's a great looking curve.
Yeah.
Very nice.
That's a long fish.
Shiny new stuff.
Yep. I'm Matt Calvani, and I build surfboards.